So as you all know that these sessions are being organized by India International Education Council and School Lalaji Solutions. India International Education Council is a not-for-profit organization which is working in the field of education. It has collaborators from 12 countries. IIC aims to create a better world through education. It also aims to build quality centers for elementary education, approachable for all kids. It also tries to find best educational practices across the globe and find ways to implement those in Indian institutions. It is also creating more awareness on hygiene and learning disabilities. It publishes a magazine called World Education and many other educational reports. It aims to build 100 chapters in different cities by 2022. It will soon open its membership for institutions and individuals. It also imparts training for leaders, teachers, students, and parents. So, as you all are aware that this is our 85th session. So far, we have organized 84 sessions. During these 84 sessions, we have received 7,706 registrations, 6,894 questions. We have seen participation from 5 countries. From India, we have seen participation from 19 states and 80 cities. We aim to organize 200 sessions. In those sessions, we would be reaching out to 100,000 educators, 20,000 institutions, and 1,000 plus eminent speakers like today's speakers would be joining us to share their perspective in detail on national education policy. So, with this, please join me in welcoming our key speakers for this very special 85th session. Our first speaker, Vibha Gupta ji. Vibha ji is principal with Shanti Niketan Vidyapit, Meerut, Uttar Pradesh. She has 20 plus years of experience in education. She is also the recipient of 15 plus prestigious awards like Best Principal Award, Best Educator Award, Avanti Guru Shrestha Award, Amatya Award, for the contribution in the field of education, Best Educationist Award by Shiksha Kalyan Society, IECS Award 2018 for Best Principal Delhi, Gopal Ratna Award 2016, Excellence Edu Award New Delhi for the continuous effort, for underprivileged children. We welcome you, Viva ma'am. Thank you for joining. It's an honor to have you. Our next key speaker, Arpita Acharya ji. Arpita ji is a principal with Blue Bells Public School Sector 10, Gurugram, Haryana. Arpita ji has a rich teaching experience of approximately 25 years. She has been, working with the Blue Bells group of schools for last 17 years. She was associated with IT and Science Department for setting up the first Atal Tinkering Laboratory in Gurugram and setting up of IT-enabled math lab. She believes in using innovative teaching practices to promote positive learning environment. She has been honored with the first rank award in the Inter-School Mathematics Ability Test for Teachers of Delhi NCR by Mr. Arvinder Singh Lovely, former Minister of Education, Delhi. She has been the recipient of Award of Excellence for the 2 consecutive years in recognition of her outstanding contribution in the field of education at the Shikshak Samman 2013 and 14. She was also invited by CNN IBM, which is a national news channel, as a mathematics educator for a panel discussion on making the learnings of math a joyful experience, along with the chess grandmaster Vishwanathan Anand. We welcome you, Arpita ma'am. Thank you for joining. It's an honor to have you.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure.
Welcome, ma'am. Our next key speaker, Prateek Srivastava ji. Prateek ji is principal with UHI Public School, Kanpur, Uttar Pradesh. Prateek ji is MA in English and Political Science. Is also MAd PGD ICM. He has experience of 15 years as principal. He has been awarded and recognized for his contribution to the field of education many times. We welcome you, Prateek sir. Thank you for joining. It's an honor to have you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Welcome, sir. Our next key speaker, Dr. Arpana Vibhuti. Dr. Arpana is the head of biotechnology with SRM University, Haryana. Dr. Arpana is working with the working for 6.5 years at SRM University and currently heading the Department of Biomedical Engineering and Biotechnology. She has completed a DST SERB funded government project in the field of life sciences as a principal and investigator. She is having 16 years of teaching and research experience from various national and international institutions. She has done postdoctoral research at one of the world's top universities, University of Pennsylvania, USA. She has published her research work in peer-reviewed international journals. She has published 18 papers so far. She is a member of the Academic Council and also organized various national and international conferences. In addition, She is having vast experience in administrative, academics, exam, and research work. We welcome you, Arpana ma'am. Thank you for joining.
Thank you, Mr. Raju.
Welcome, ma'am. Our next speaker, Mr. Vinayak Sharma. Vinayak is National Head of Business and Strategy with Torrance Music. Mr. Sharma has a MBA, double measure in finance and marketing from IAMA. He dropped out after clearing first group of CA final to start his own brand of tea, which sells successfully and exports to European countries. Having a decade of experience in the FMCG sector, branding and supply chain, along with the handling international trade and logistics, since 2017, he's involved in bringing up upliftment in the field of music education, provided to schools across India through Torrance, which is a US-based organization known globally to provide the best in music education through its online and offline platform. We welcome you, Vinayak ji. Thank you for joining. So with this, we'll come to the next part of this, this session. I'll request all our speakers if we can have your, quick 1 minute opening remark. So I see that Vibhaji, we are yet to join by Vibhaji. I would request Arpita ma'am, if we may begin with you, your opening remark.
Okay. A very good morning to one and all present here. And thank you, Rajul. I would like to thank the India International Education Council and School Lalaji Solution for inviting me. And I would say that you all are doing a commendable job for, collecting all the educators on a common platform and discussing the roadmap ahead, which is a very important thing because national education policy is such a wonderful document. But discussing would let us know that how to take it forward. So I would like to just give my opening statement like this National Education Policy 2020 is, as I say, is a wonderful document. And the main aim of this policy is that India becomes a global knowledge superpower, right? This policy proposes the revision and revamping of all the aspects of the education structure, including the regulation and governance. It aims to create a new system that is aligned with the aspirational goals of 21st century's education, including the Sustainable Development Goal number 4, which is quality education for all, and also keeping in mind the India's tradition and value system. So we all as educator need to ensure that we all join hands and understand the policy properly and implement the policy in the true letter and spirit. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Arpita ma'am. Absolutely, we all need to work in that collaboration, in order to successfully implement this policy. And also, big thanks for inspiring your inspiring words. Your support is the only inspiration we have, and we are able to do all these things because we get support from leaders like Arpita ma'am, Prateek sir. So thank you. I'll come back to you. With this, I would request Prateek Srivastava sir. Prateek sir, if we may have your opening remark.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, I thank India International Education School Lalaji and World Education Review. Thanks a lot, Raju sir. And a very good morning once again to all the key speakers. And I would like to share my views on the faced by the stakeholders, especially the schools, which will face challenges in implementing these policies in the new education policy.
Absolutely. Thank you. We are very excited to hear your ideas, Prateek sir. Thank you for joining. I'll come back to you. Now I would request Dr. Vibhuti, Alpana ji, we can have your opening remark. I believe Alpana ji has lost the connection. She will be joining us back. Mr. Vinayak Sharma, if we can have your opening remark, sir. Vinayak ji.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. It feels really wonderful to talk among such highly qualified and experienced educators. Thank you for School Lalaji and World Education Review and IIC for inviting me over to be a key speaker here. As I said, I'm trying to bring an upliftment in the music education across India, and I would like to share my thoughts and opinion about how to do so. Considering the new education policy has made it remove the clear demarcation between music and making it a mainstream subject, removing a demarcation between arts and science being treated separately. So I would like to discuss on that and how we can help in that. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. So thank you, Vinayakji, for joining, and I'll come back to you. Now, Arpana ma'am has joined us back. Arpana ji, can we have your opening remark?
Yeah, since this, thank you, Rajul, for giving me the opportunity. And what I think for new education policy is we need to discuss among the school education and the higher education, and we need to think more about how the connecting link that will work for the benefits of the student in terms of the employability, and how the students they are going to be absorbed or they can be the entrepreneurship, so that only the bookish knowledge should not be there. So in that way the student they might have the knowledge that how they are going to implement their knowledge in the practical world, how they can utilize that one. So with that I wish I will gain more knowledge from the expert over here. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. This has been that, I would say a highly prized question, how we can utilize our knowledge, into the practical world. So thank you, Arpana ma'am. We are excited to hear your ideas, on those lines. So big thanks. So with this, we come to the next part of this session, which is the main talk session. I would come to all the speakers. All the speakers will have 8 to 10 minutes to share their ideas in detail. So before I come to our first speaker, Arpita ma'am, I just would like to share the learnings which we have had during our 84 sessions. See, almost every participant maintained that this is a wonderful document. You know, almost similar number of participants also maintain that execution is going to be very, very tough. Many people believe that the implementation rural parts would be very challenging. A lot of people apprehended that finance would be a challenging part. Many people believe teachers training would be a key challenge. So, I would request all our speakers, while sharing your interpretation on NEP or its impact on in coming time, I would also request if we can also share a roadmap or some suggestions which we all can try, to implement or execute in our respective domains. So, I would request Arpita ma'am, if over to you, ma'am, Arpita ji.
Thank you, Rajul. Yeah, national education policy. It is, of course, as you said, and I have also said it, that is a wonderful document. And it envisions an education system which is rooted with Indian ethos and that contributes directly to transform India sustainably into an equitable and vibrant knowledge society by providing high quality education to all and thereby making India a global knowledge superpower. So there are many proposed changes which are there. I will just take the few of them. That is the 10+2 structure of the school education, which is being modified into a new pedagogical and curricular restructuring. That is 5+3+3+4. I think everyone is by now aware that it covers the age group of 3 to 18 years. So, but it has a strong base for early childhood care and education, as it is starting from age group of 3 is also included in it. And it is aimed to promote overall learning, development, and well-being. So it is just a restructuring for, it's not an infrastructural change, it is just a pedagogical change. As all of us know that 85% of the child's brain development happens prior to the age of 6. So it is utmost importance that we take appropriate care and ensure that the stimulation of the brain in these early years, which happens, so a proper brain development and growth is what happens during these years. So we need to pay importance to that. So I would say that Albert Einstein also said that if you want your children to be smart, tell them stories. If you want them to be really smart, tell them more stories. If you want the children to be brilliant, tell them even more stories. So stories is one way which helps the students to develop imagination. I think imagination is something which is more important than knowledge. If we teach our child how to imagine, and in fact, that will help them to think out of box, and it will lead them to stages of creation and innovation. So curriculum at the foundational stage, we need to really work on that as to the students should be focused to read more stories, listen to more stories. In fact, a lot of work has to be done in the curriculum development at that stage, because the teachers also have to be trained in that way, that they make the classes so lively, so interesting, that the child actually looks forward to come to the class. Like also NEP also talks about curtailing dropout rates. So if the classroom is so interesting, you know, as child, we all remember our childhood stories. We all could relate, we could imagine, you know, that so many things as stories which had been told to us, we still remember till date. So if the classrooms are such lively, where the stories are narrated, they are doing activities which are of their interest, they can really do wonders. And then I think curtailing dropout rates would be actually easier also. So in fact, the document talks about developing the curriculum, where it is, in fact, NCERT is working on it into 2 stages, where they talk about 0 to 3 years, a separate framework, and 3 to 8 years, there's a separate framework. They also talk about including stories, poetry, songs, and other things which would enrich. But main thing is that how are we going to train our teachers for this? Training of the teachers is the most important. And also the entire NEP talks about at different stages that how to make it more holistic, more integrated, enjoyable, and engaging. So all these assessment tools at the later stage, we can talk about assessment of learning, assessment as learning, assessment for learning. So all in details, all that. In fact, there should be proper workshop for the teachers where they are trained into all these assessment systems also. And NEP also talks about like attaining functional literacy and numeracy for all children, which is a national mission, in fact. So as a maths educator, I would say that it is very important that the child should be able to visualize maths. Most of the people feel that maths is only about calculation. So involving students in the real life situations is what, and understanding the concepts of maths is very important. So the role of the maths teachers also now, it changes from only solving bookish problem to develop logical thinking, problem solving skills. Like if you have a class, instead of just telling that how to measure the area, if you just say that how many chairs can we put up in this class, you know, that concept of area and other things will automatically come. Why only talk about different formulas and how to implement the formulas? So this kind of involvement, if we start, I think the education process would be much more lively and much more like the students will really want to come to school. So in fact, also that multilingualism is also something which has been talked about, and different books of different languages are going to be introduced. The few initiatives which have already been taken, like Ek Bharat, Shresth Bharat, is a very beautiful initiative where each state is learning about the other state. Like Haryana has been given a co-partner, like we are, the partner state is Telangana. So our students are learning about Telangana. So this is, you know, creating more awareness about India and further. So NEP is a wonderful document, but the success actually depends upon how we empower these teachers, and the best are inspired to join the teaching profession. The best, it should not be that you did not get an opportunity to get any other job, so you are becoming a teacher. There should be a passion for teaching. You should be really passionate about your teaching, that yes, you can transfer some knowledge, which would be actually wonderful for building up the nation. And so it is very important. In fact, NEP has talked about 50 hours of continuous professional development for the teachers, and also for the school heads, also that 50 hours of this thing, professional development programs, which would be there for the school heads also for leadership, management, and pedagogy. But only attending programs is not going to help. After attending the program, whether it is implemented in the true spirit, so as leaders, we all need to ensure that. So I think there is a lot which we can discuss on the NEP. Full day can go, we can keep on discussing. but I think the other speakers also should continue with it, and we can take it forward further.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you, Arpita ma'am. You highlighted a few very important points. The importance of stories. Absolutely, we all know that, but I believe, for last some years, we have lost, or somewhere diluted the importance of stories, as a tool in teaching. You also talked about teachers training. That's going to be key, and that 50 hours of mandatory CPD. Many people believe that this is going to be a wonderful, I would say, a beginning. So big thanks for joining and for highlighting these areas. We'll come back to you with questions, ma'am.
Right.
Thank you. With this, now I would request Prateek sir, uh, if I may ask you to interpret NEP, your perspective, sir. Prateek Srivastava ji. Uh, Prateek ji has just lost the connection, so he would be just coming back. So meanwhile, Arpita ma'am, if I may ask you, if you can suggest one innovative method of how we can bring passionate teachers to education. आप कोई एक तरीका अगर बताना चाहें तो क्या करना चाहिए? उसके बाद प्रतीक सर को I'll invite.
Yeah.
Arpita ma'am.
In fact, it is their interest. We should give them a space where they can think. Like, I would say that my love for mathematics started also when I was, of course, good in maths, and I used to get very good marks. That encouragement for maths was already there, like that motivation was already there. But when I created the maths lab, when I created the maths park, that involvement, the more you involve in the area of your interest, I think you get more passionate about it. You would like talking to people about it. You would like that others also get involved in it. So I think that is what is passion. Like, if you are really engrossed into what you are doing, so that would bring up the passion.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you, Arpita ma'am. I'll come back to you. Now, I would request Prateek sir, sir, your perspective on national education policy. Prateek ji.
Once again, a very good morning to everyone. There are so many challenges when you do a new thing, and National Education Policy 2021, it's again a great challenge for all the stakeholders, the country, whether it is the CBSE, the schools, the principals, the parents, and the students as well. I have not I'm so sorry, I have not taken many perspectives to discuss. Few things which I would like to discuss here. First of all, like you were saying, Rajul sir was saying that in the rural area it will be very difficult to implement this policy. I feel the one topic I'll take right now, that is medium of teaching, that is in the regional language, or you can say the mother tongue. The parents, especially when I think most of the respected principals here in the seminar are from private schools. And when it comes to states like UP or all the northern states, and when we'll start teaching from pre-primary till class 5 in the mother tongue, that is Hindi, and the parents expect sending their wards to CBSE schools, that they are sending their wards to an English medium school. That will be a great challenge for all of us who are involved in schools and who are there in teaching, to convince the parents that it will be better for their wards. But their expectations from the schools, especially when they come to private schools, medium of this will be a very great challenge, very big challenge for all the schools in south of our country, in the southern part of India, they have compulsorily the you go to Maharashtra, they have Marathi as one of the subjects. If you go to other states, they are having, but teaching in mother tongue, whether it is in Hindi or any other language, and maintaining convinced that it will be good for their wards in future, will be a great challenge to everyone in the country. Then, as ma'am said, Arpita ma'am said, training of teachers. It has to be very, very important. It has to be very, very effective. And like I found something very good in that, that is attaining foundational literacy and numeracy. This is a very good policy. And once again, I'm just taking one point, that is primary education up to in the mother tongue or the regional language will be a very difficult task for every one of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Prateek sir. You talked about the challenges, which may face at rural parts. Also, language is a very, I would say, language has been a very debatable topic. The inclusion of this three language thing and mandatory teaching in the mother tongue has been a debatable. In fact, in all sessions, we have received questions of that part. And you also, said that teachers training would be a key. So thank you, Prateek sir. I'll come back to you. Now I would request Dr. Arpana Vibhuti ji. Dr. Vibhuti, you represent that higher education world. In fact, many educators, have maintained that without connecting, without establishing a link between higher education and school education, we won't be able to get the desired fruits. So I would request Dr. Vibhuti, if we can have your perspective in detail. Dr. Vibhuti. Ma'am, you are on mute. I believe there is some technical glitch with Dr. Vibhuti. Now I would request Vinayak Sharma ji. Vinayak ji, you represent, the art education, music in particular. In fact, music in NEP has been mentioned more than 20 times. And this is for the first time, perhaps, at least in our lifetime, that, government in an institutionalized way is emphasizing upon the value of co-curricular activities. Right. So your take and your perspective, Vinayak ji.
Thank you, Rajulji. Actually, half of what I was going to say has already been told by Arpita ma'am, because she made certain very good points, like making the classroom interesting, like the environment needs to be lively for the children so that the children will actually be interested in what they are learning at school, and why don't they want to learn at school. That is the first problem that which we need to solve. That will only be solved by making the classrooms and the environment much more interactive, like Arpita ma'am said. So, like coming back to the point of NEP, NEP has laid very important stress on digitization as well as availability of skilled teachers, and the infrastructure also needs to be backed by all the to back all the education needs of a child. So I would just like to show you, if I'm allowed to share my screen, by how we are trying to make that change in the world of music education. I'll just share my screen. Rajuji, can you allow me to share my screen? Yeah. Is my screen visible? Yeah, thank you. So basically, these were the rooms that were given to us by a school, and this is what we did to him. if you'll see that all these are like studio quality rooms, and each student will have an instrument in their hand while learning. Now, if you look at this piano room, the piano room will have a piano teacher. Now, the piano teacher is skilled in that particular instrument. We are not looking for teachers who have a background in B.Ed and all, but they need to have a thorough knowledge about their instrument. So they want to instill that same passion which they have carried in their instrument to the child. Similarly, in guitar, if you'll see that each child has an instrument in their hand while learning. So for schools, setting up the infrastructure at one time is not a big cost, but where the maintenance come, how to handle the quality from teacher to teacher, all these things become very difficult for a school to manage. So I've just stopped my screen. Yeah. So like, if you can see from the photos that I've showed you, like, firstly, the infrastructure needs to be in place. Secondly, the teacher needs to be trained. Certain amount of soft skills needs to be taught to a child teacher, so that they can provide equal attention to each and every child, which uh, I feel is lacking in the music education side of things right now among most of the schools. Like when I used to study in a school, we had a very great grand piano, uh, which I was not allowed to touch, because टूट जाएगा, it will break. You are not so among a school of 2000 students, only 4 children can play that instrument. Then what's the use of like having a music period itself? Like it's reduced to a vocal class. So if a child wants to learn a keyboard, the parent first has to buy that 10,000 rupees keyboard and has to probably put him to a private lessons. So when the school can play such an important role in the way the instrument has been taught to the child, I feel that that is the way to go forward. And that is where Torrens has been like helpful to schools in US as well as in India. Like there are 200 schools that are using the same methodology, as well as 80 schools across in India. And apart from that, what we need to identify, we need to recognize and foster the unique capabilities of each child. Like if they have a variety of these plethora of these instruments and plethora of these activities in the school, so a child themselves might not be even knowing what he's particularly good at. So if you provide him with all the opportunities, then probably you can zero in on the particular skill set, which is which is inherent in that child. So he might be good in vocals, but he might want to learn guitar. They don't even know, because and the identification is so late that you cannot do much about it, because then the mainstream education starts from class 9, 10, 11, 12, whether they are more focused towards the boards and all that. I'll give you an example of a student in one of our associated school in Mussoorie. His name is Nirvana. He's a Guinness World Record holder for the fastest guitar. The principal actually just boosted him to follow his dreams. And he right now, after clearing his class 12, has moved to Australia and has opened his own music educational academy. Now, that is a totally alternate career path, and he's doing really well in that also. And he's teaching more than 200 students, probably even beyond his age. And like he's doing very well. So it is something which I didn't even dream of at my time. So we have to focus on making all these opportunities available to the child, and make it available at a very affordable cost to the school, so that the school can focus on the mainstream education side of things, and we can focus on the quality that needs to be bought under the music education system of a school. Thank you.
Thank you, Prateek. Absolutely, music plays a very important role. In fact, my discovery impact of music has been a very recent one. So, but after that, I've learned that how it can play that pivotal role, in learning other subjects like maths or English or other subjects as well. So, thank you for making that point. Now, I would request Vibhuti ji, if we can have your perspective. Dr. Arpana Vibhuti,
Yeah.
do we have?
Yeah.
Yeah. Arpana ji, over to you.
Once again, good morning to all of you. So my perspective for the new education policy, as Arpita madam said, and Vinayak sir told about the importance of the music or any of the hobbies of the student, and moreover Arpita ma'am, as she was saying that yes, we need to see that how we are going to implement the education policy, not only for the student, but how we are going to inculcate, how we are going to train our student to the delivery mode. That is important. And moreover, that is for the benefit of the student, so that they can be in the society for their sustainability, for the developing nation India to the developed nation. So because our student, they are the future of tomorrow, so we need to see that if we are going to implement the NEP, so that how it will benefit the society ultimately. So we need, I mean, not only the school education but the higher education, because we both can do for the betterment of the society. Because school student ultimately they will enter into the higher education, and moreover, if they are going to inculcate not only the bookish knowledge but yes, practical knowledge, that how according to their hobbies, their and moreover, Pratik sir was saying that yes, of course, regarding this communication power, like in the rural areas, if we are having the like different kind of medium for the communication, and moreover, if the student they are not very well versed with the medium, or moreover, not only student but parents and the society, so they need to be very I mean, we need to understand the difficulties of the student of the society. Being a teacher, being a school teacher, or being a higher education teacher, we need to see that how we are going to fill the gap, how we are going to fill the gap, so that they can easily grasp not only the bookish knowledge but how the implementation of the knowledge into the growth of the society. So that is my perspective, because NEP that contain the multiple entry and multiple exit, and if we are going to utilize it very properly, so the overall growth in the interdisciplinary areas. So if a student, they can have not only like earlier education, that science field student or arts field student or the commerce field student, they are having the different specialization. But now, if according to the NEP, if we are having the multiple entry, multiple exit, and different kind of courses that one student they can take, they can become, I mean, in any area they can go further according to their interest. Not only the it is like that हमने science पढ़ा है या हमने arts पढ़ा है, so we can choose this field only. They can be there in other field according to their interest. And moreover, not only the job but they can be the entrepreneur. So basically NEP that will give the opportunity that you cannot be a worker only, you can be the you can say you can be an entrepreneur, and you can direct others what to do. So in that way, everyone become uh, uh, independent to think, to implement their knowledge, and they can be the part of the society for the growth of the society and ultimately to the nation. That is my perspective. But for that, we need to train our school teachers as well as the higher education teachers, so that they can come up, and moreover the assessment mode, not only for the student, but how the teachers are going to be trained, and how the delivery of the particular knowledge in that particular field should be proper for the growth. So that is most important, and that also should be assessed. I should not say assessed, but I should say that teachers, they can be well versed for the NEP, and moreover should have the passionate faculty for the delivery. So these are my perspective for the NEP, and we will work together, and moreover, with the help of school teacher, with the higher education, we can do more for the betterment of implementation of NEP. So thank you, Rajul, for giving me the opportunity and to listen expertise over here so that I can also have a better knowledge for this one. Thank you.
Thank you, Arpana ji, for making that NEP would further create an environment where entrepreneurship, will get promoted. And you highlighted a few examples like choice-based credit system or the flexibility in entry-exit part. So I believe if that would have been the case in the past, so Vinayak would have also had the opportunity to complete his CA, right? So which he had, lost, right? So, but so big thanks, Arpana ji, for highlighting these parts. Now we come to the question part. We have received, a few questions on national education policy. So I would like to present these questions to our speakers, to take your perspective and ideas. So just allow me, and before I start presenting these questions, I'll just take a minute and explaining what exactly we have been doing. We have been doing at school Lalaji Solutions. So please allow me to share my screen. I'll take a minute, and after that, I'll start sharing questions. So some of you are already aware with the kind of work we are doing at School Lalaji Solutions. We are India's largest one-stop solution platform for educational institutions. We are currently present in 42 cities, working with some around 4,500 institutions. We primarily help institutions in three ways. We help them in buying the right thing from right people at right price. We also help them in selling their old items like their old buses, their generators or furniture like that. We also help institutions in raising money, that maybe in terms of fee financing or loans or some other ways. Why there is a need, for a platform like School Allergy Solutions? Generally, you always have a list of old suppliers. कोई ऐसा category नहीं है जिसमें आपके पास supplier नहीं है. You already have those, team of suppliers who are coming to your school. Your team is having expertise. You already getting good discount. Your team is efficient. So why you need a platform like School Allergy Solutions? The only reason is, in India in last 10-15 years, thousands of new companies have come up with wonderful product and solutions. You know, companies have invested heavily in the product design, in quality, in service part. But there has been a big challenge. The big challenge is how they can reach out to school leaders, how they can reach out to Arpita ma'am, how they can reach out to Pratik ji, at least to have that kind of a first level introduction. कि वो क्या कर रहे हैं. And this has been a challenge for school leaders as well. You don't get you don't get the time generally to meet everyone, to explore different products which are available, different tools which are available. In fact, when this pandemic happened and lockdown happened, we generally went for the Zoom or Google Meet or Microsoft Team. But there have been more than 70 plus you know organizations which are providing such kind of facilities. But how much time we had to explore those things? So here we come in. We understand your school, we understand your actual requirement, we understand your budgetary limitations, and then accordingly we talk to different companies, we filter their products, we negotiate with them, and then we recommend those companies to you. These are the areas where we are working in. We are helping institutions in procuring smart classrooms, uniform, insurance. We are also delivering diesel. Solar plant, we are helping institutions in installing language labs, security solutions, furniture, recruitment, music classrooms, healthcare, robotics, STEM, STEAM labs, career counseling, stationery, digital marketing, IT solutions, educational tour, generators, learning tools, and finance. And we take the guarantee that will save at least your 5 to 7%. आप कहीं से भी कोई भी सर्विस ले रहे हैं, आप बस इंश्योरेंस करा रहे हैं, आप कुछ भी आप कर रहे हैं, so we take this guarantee that will save at least your 5 to 7% in your annual expenditure. Just one example, we saved 2 crore 40 lakh rupees in one category, that is bus insurance, in 2019. These are some major highlights. We did a 8 megawatt plus solar installation, 3,000 plus bus insurance, 400 plus cameras, smart classrooms, 2,000 plus cameras, 350 plus training programs, 56 old buses we sold from one school to other. We also installed uniform in 42 schools. By the end of 2021, we aim to reach out to 10,000 institutions. We need your support, your guidance, your blessings. So thank you with this. Now, I'll start presenting questions. I would request Arpita ma'am, if I may present first question to you.
Okay.
Right. So, right. So, let me find the toughest question for
Oh,
Arpita ma'am.
Rajul, I think you are a friend of mine, not an enemy.
No, but yes, I know that I'm kind of sure. That's why I'm looking for the toughest question, because I know that you can answer that. You know,
Thank you.
and that would help other people. That would save other people from that question. So you also talked about, Arpita ma'am, you also talked about the importance of early child care. One big thing which NEP has already achieved, that is, it has created that mass awareness among people that the most important years are that 0 to 6 years. Now at least people have started recognizing that part. So this question related to that ECC only. Ms. Pratima Rathor, she's an assistant teacher with the Navrachana Vidyani School, Vadodara, Gujarat. So question is, what are the schemes in NEP for developing ECCE at rural parts? So I'll divide it in two parts, ma'am. One particularly for rural parts, second in general. So if you can highlight some 2-3 major developments in NEP, जो change लेके आएंगी ECC में, Arpita ma'am.
Yeah, first is that we need to understand that the structure, which was 10 plus 2, it has now been divided into 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4, right? So this 5 is like we are starting with the pre-primary. Previously, like all the CBSE schools were from class 1. So now it is from class, you can call it nursery or pre-nursery, whatever school to school we can see that. But it is primarily, first we have the 3 years over there, where it is taken care like so that the foundation is developed in the child. The foundation is strong. The strong foundation is developed in the child. So then further it becomes easier for the child for the education, whatever line the child chooses. So there are a number of things which are being talked about. It is about the Anganwadi. There is also a bridge, this thing that after class, before class 1, how they have to be inducted. All that in details is being talked about in NEP. That it is into a proper structure. Of course, NCERT is working on it, and we should soon have the guidelines also. Even CBSE is doing a wonderful job. They have started with the training of the principals, and then they would start with the training of the teachers and so on. So already everyone is into the mode of getting trained, getting the knowledge of NEP and further implementation.
Right. Absolutely. Thank you, Arpita ma'am. I'll come back to you. Now I would request Arpana ji, if I may present this question to you.
Yeah,
Arpana ji,
sure.
vocational education has received a great attention in this national education policy. In fact, as you all said during your talk, that we need to find ways how we can use our knowledge, academic knowledge, in practical world. How we can in fact connect our academic environment with the practical world, outside of institutions. So how do you find that 10 days mandatory training, vocational training, which has been talked about in this national education policy? Many schools we doubt that this would be very difficult to execute. How they are going to arrange logistics for that? How they are going to arrange resources for that? So what would be your suggestion, Arpana ji?
Okay. So regarding this practical implementation, see, right now what we are doing according to the course, we are having the practical classes as well. But now according to the CBCS, we have done like choice-based credit system. We will implement in the higher education, and so that the student, they can have the open elective courses or a departmental elective courses. So according to the need, like artificial intelligence, say for example, if the student this AI is coming up, and moreover in the next 5-6 years this AI will reach into the market, and all the student in whatever the field it will be, but AI would be there. So they need to learn, they need to see that what not only the bookish or not only the computer knowledge, but how this training part will be done. So what we used to do, what we used to plan, that we will have the industrial collaboration, we will have the institution collaboration, so that in the training part we will delivery of the basic things we will be done by the teachers, and teachers will also be trained in the training part, so that training along with the help of the industrial person, we can expose the students, so that they can be not only the knowledge, but how this implementation of the knowledge in the execution, that is required, so that the students will be trained with the help of the whether proper training can be given to them, not only the practical part, but yes, execution of that training program. If we are going to have the multiple credit means optional credit system or vocational courses, so in that way the student will be trained fully, so that they will, if they are going to come up with the graduation or with the NEP courses in the higher education, along with the multiple exit or entry or multiple courses, so they can be well versed with that particular, not only the knowledge but the implementation, so they can be overall trained, so that they can start. Nowadays what we used to do, we used to train our student in terms of the knowledge and the practical part, but when the campus placement will be done, the companies will come and they will train by themselves only, so that 6 months or 1 year the training, according to them, the student will develop what kind of ability they should have to work in their companies. So in that way, in the NEP, and what we are having the ideas, that yes, student will be trained in the mid semesters, or so that they can be what you can say, according to the interest of the student, they can have the training part with the help of the institution, so that they can go further. और ऐसा भी नहीं होगा कि like student they will sit in the companies, and they, if they will be selected, they will have to see the package only, they can go further, and उनका interest है या नहीं है, it doesn't matter, but they are going to do the work. No. So in that way, the student, they, according to their interest, they can go further, and if the student will be trained according to the interest, of course they will do better, and they can deliver their best. So this is my perspective, and this is my opinion, and we will work together for this implementation of the NEP for the fruitfulness.
Right, right. So, what I understand from your response, ma'am, that schools need to find resources. In fact, many people have also suggested that ITIs around schools, or the colleges around schools, they have those labs available. So schools have to look for. Schools have to reach out to those institutions. If they can.
Yes.
Obviously, it would be practically impossible to establish that kind of laboratories inside the school.
Yes, all
But
kind of
yeah,
laboratories. It won't be possible that a school or college they might have, but yes, with the collaboration with the institution and the companies, we will have like in higher education, like say for example for our institution, SRM Haryana. So what we used to do, like student, if they want to go into the IBM, so IBM courses that are going to be there in our curriculum, so that the student will be trained at what kind of requirement that will be there. So with the help of collaboration with the institution, we are going to deliver the lectures, and they are going to be trained in
right,
that particular institution, and they will be trained ultimately. So
right,
in that
right.
way we can train our students. Yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I believe that very soon we are going to see the training and placement department in schools as well, Arpita ma'am.
Yeah.
So right, so then 50 hours CPD for teachers, 50 hours CPD for for leaders, and now students. So training and placement department would be may become a reality in schools as well. So right, thank you, Arpana ji. I'll come back to you. Now I would request Vinayak ji. Vinayak ji, as Arpana ji said, like it would be impossible, practically impossible to schools to establish those labs. In fact, this NEP also offers flexibility in terms of choosing subjects. After their 10th grade. So let's suppose if in every school, if there are 20 students, 30 students, 40 students start opting for music in particular. So do we have those resources? Do we have that number of trainers for every school, or like every school can afford that to establish an infrastructure? So what is your take on that, Vinayak?
See, I believe that for private schools, setting up the infrastructure at one time is not a big hassle. Where the issue comes is the maintenance. The day-to-day maintenance of the instrument is where the schools fail, because schools have got a very strict SOPs that has to be followed, from the teachers to the management to the accounts office, everything. Suppose I'll give you an example. Like if 20 students are from after period 20 students are coming into these music rooms and using the guitars, we will find that weekly there will be hundreds of guitar strings that are breaking. So if a teacher wants to get a replacement for a particular guitar string, he has to write a note to the principal. The principal will give an approval. That approval will go to the accounts office. From there, the funds will be sanctioned, and the 200 rupees guitar string will probably take 1.5 months to come to the school. Till then, that guitar instrument is just lying as it is. It's of no use without that string. Similarly, it's the case for adapters, for electrical wires. So the school, they have got so much to worry about, is that setting up the infrastructure is not a big thing, but the day-to-day maintenance and ensuring that day-to-day quality is delivered through that maintenance is where the challenge lies. And I feel like I had mentioned in my talk, like how to make it affordable. The only way to make it affordable is to have economies of scale. If this particular 20 instruments is being shared by 800 students, it automatically becomes affordable for the student, it automatically becomes affordable for the school, it becomes affordable for the parent as well. They don't have to buy that instrument at home. So they can get the experience of the guitar, the piano, the drums, whatever is available at the school. But for them to actually learn, they have to have that freedom of using that instrument as per a musician would, which would have to be removed from the fear that it might break. So that is where I feel the schools are facing the challenge, and that is, I think, the correct way to go about it. That if they can outsource that to somebody, we take that headache and probably give them the solution, so that they focus on the education and we can focus on the arts.
Right. Thank you, Vinayak. So
Yeah.
Arpita ma'am, I have two more questions for you. So I would request if I may present these questions to you. One question, has come from Miss Anuradha, saying Anuradha ji is a PGT English with the Himalaya Public School, Dehradun. The question says, will this policy make our students realize the greatness of our culture and our country?
Yeah, of course. In fact, the key sentence which I had said during my key remark which I had said, it was what? It was that it is also building on India's tradition and culture is what is the main aim of NEP. In fact, the art integration projects and of course the things like Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat, these art integration which is being talked about, where I had talked about Haryana being a paired state with Telangana, similarly Delhi with Sikkim and so on. The students are, as it is, learning about the different states, their traditions, their culture, and by that, of course, knowing more about the country. So this is a wonderful document. And of course, if it is put in the right true letter and spirit, it is taken into account, it would really make wonders.
Right, absolutely. Thank you. I have last question, Arpita ma'am, for you. And after that, we'll go for that concluding, remark part. This question has come from Mr. Gaurav Shukla. Gaurav ji is a chemistry TGT with Sumitra Modern School, Sitapur, Uttar Pradesh. Gaurav ji's question says, is there any provision to improve quality and training of teachers to execute NEP?
Yes, that already, as I had already discussed with you, that NEP talks about, 50 hours of training, continuous development training programs for the teachers, which is mandatory now. Even for the school principals, now it is mandatory 50 hours. So along with that, like CBSE has already started how to implement these NEP into the curriculum. Those trainings have also started. So not only, and also there's a Diksha platform where there are so many courses which are available for the professional development of the teachers. So there are a lot of material because of this pandemic and this lockdown. I think more exposure is there now how to do online courses, because previously people were not much aware of the online courses. They were like into their school, doing their work and then all. But now, since everyone is more aware about the online courses, these courses can be done at their comfort on Sundays, Saturdays, in the evening hours, and know about and actually develop the different skills which are important to actually, if the teachers have trained themselves, only then they can train the students.
Right.
Yeah.
And I have one question. It's my question, Arpita. Arpita ma'am. The training are being offered in two ways. One is being offered through schools or like through CBSE, so mandatory training. Like when a school says to a teacher, like, we'll pay for your training and you go and attend this training.
Yes.
So then that's not optional, because school is paying for the training. Our teachers has to go for the training. But that is very, I would say, a very limited kind of training, and that kind of internal motivation is not there for teachers for attending those trainings. One we have also seen in our experience that schools are also not motivated to send maximum teachers for such kind of training programs. Not all schools are motivated, I would say. So what do you think after this COVID thing? This has hugely disturbed our structure. The most affected community has been teachers community, and they are the real corona warriors. They have saved us. They've saved our country, to have that huge learning gap. So now I just wanted to ask you, do you think the encouragement or self motivation for teachers, let's say if school is not offering any training program, if school is not ready to pay for their training program, do you really think that teachers are self motivated to go for a training program for themselves to enhance their skills, their capabilities? Arpita ma'am.
In fact, as I had told you, like for the students, if you motivate them through stories and encourage them, they would learn the lessons for life and remember things for longer. Right. Similarly, if the teachers are also motivated and also they are allowed to choose the courses of their own. It's not that you are a science teacher, you have to go for science only. Because now, since we are talking about experiential learning, we are talking about art integration, we are talking about sports integration. So it's not necessary that the teacher would also, like, we also cannot put them into compartment. That the teacher also, they should also be given the option that the courses of their choice. So if that liberty is given, that the teachers can also take up the courses of their choice, they will be self-motivated to attend, and when they're attending such courses and it enhances their skill, they become more confident. In fact, when the teachers, maybe when they were in the school, they were like, it was this kind of an NEP structure was not there, so it was only their academics and they had concentrated on that area only. So if that kind of whatever things they are good at, they think that they can excel in, the skills that they wanted to develop when they were young, if they are actually encouraged and they are also told that they can take up courses of their choice, this 50 hours of compulsory, whatever it is there, that professional development courses, if it is left to the teachers to select the courses and attend, I think motivation will automatically come and things would be really better. And for experiential learning or art integration, we do not have to conduct separate courses. It can be each teacher, they might be teaching a subject, but would be good in some other skill, can easily integrate things and also teach in the class, deliver in the class, so that interest will automatically come.
Absolutely, absolutely. So teachers need to have that kind of flexibility in choosing, the courses and training programs.
Yes.
So, right, absolutely. Thank you, Arpita ma'am, for sharing that. So with this, we come to the concluding part of this very special session. So I would request, all our speakers, if we can have your concluding remarks. But before that, I must thank our speakers I'll begin with Arpita ma'am. Arpita ma'am, you talked about the importance of early years. You also talked about the importance of, the stories as a brilliant tool to, enhance intelligence among our kids. And you also talked about, the assessment part, which has got very special attention in this NEP, and teachers training required, to execute that. You also talked about, that connecting students with real life examples, or connecting, our education with real life examples. It's very important. And then you also talked about challenges, in terms of the lack of passionate teachers. Everyone believes that teachers are the soul of any institution, but almost everyone believe that teachers are most of the teachers are not teacher because of as their first priority they do not choose teaching as profession. So that needs to be changed. We need to have that bright people, we need to have the talented and passionate people come forward and choose teaching as profession. You also talked about the importance of 50 hours CPD, and how we can uh, create passionate teachers around that. And eventually during the question part you talked about how we can motivate and encourage teachers to go for teaching on their own, right? So thank you, Arpita ma'am. I'll come back to you for your concluding remarks. And Prateek ji talked about the again the challenges. He started with that, like whenever we have a new initiative, we find challenges, be it NEP or be it agriculture reforms. So right, so he also talked about the language challenges. The rural parts are facing those things. Lack of finances, lack of resources. He also talked about. And then Vinayak talked about the importance of music, how it can increase our efficiency in other subjects. Dr. Apna talked about choice-based career system and the flexibility of exit and entry part, and how it would lead us to have more entrepreneurs, kind of society. So thank you, Arpita ma'am. So with this, I would request all our speakers if we can have your concluding remark. Also, we have established one very interesting practice. While sharing your concluding remark, if you can also share one idea or one innovative thought which you would like to implement if you become a education minister of our country for one day. So what would be your that idea जो आप कहेंगे कि ये तो implement करना ही करना है. तो अर्पिता मैम, मैथ्स लैब के अलावा आपको दूसरा कोई आइडिया बताना पड़ेगा, राइट? सो I'll come to you randomly, तो ताकि आप अपने आंसर्स को फिक्स ना करें, राइट? सो I'll begin with Arpana Vibhuti ma'am. So your concluding remark, and what would be your idea if you become a one-day minister of education?
Okay, so regarding as Vinayak sir was telling that funding issue is the major issue, not only the funding but a time gap, time taken by the institution to execution or to maintain the infra. That is the biggest problem. Not only in the school, but in the university system also, in the institutional system also, because I have worked as a PhD scholar, and I have worked as a postdoctoral fellow in the USA. So when I compare with the US system to the Indian system, the in the USA, what you are having the facility, like if you want to have certain things for your research continuation, when you are ordering something, then you will have, if you are ordering in the morning, you will have the things in the afternoon. If you are going to order in the afternoon, you will have on the next morning. So that kind of freedom, that kind of facilities should be there in the Indian scenario as well, so that you can see the exponential growth of the education, of the research, of the higher education, or of the growth of the nation. And when the things are like, you are teaching person, and you have to or if you are a teacher, or if you are a researcher, you have to dependent on the funding for the administrator, for the administration, that they need to see your requirement, or they need to judge on the basis of three quotations only, like only in terms of the lowest quotation, and they are not ability to judge that what is the justification of your requirement, because you know better that what you require. Nobody else can know better that what is needed. So in that way, if I will be the education minister, so these kinds of hurdle should not be there in the education system or the research system for the growth of the student. So thank you,
Right,
Raju,
right.
for giving me the
पर उसके लिए आपको
opportunity.
पूरे 5 साल चाहिए होंगे मैम, ये एक दिन में नहीं हो पाएगा. Right. Arpita ma'am, thank you, ma'am, for that, and that's absolutely a very important, I would say, area which needs immediate attention. And now I would request Vinayak, if we can have your concluding remark, and what would be your idea as Minister of Education?
I think Rajulji, you have asked a question which every um, every Indian, after watching Anil Kapoor in Nayak, wanted to become at some point of time. You know that if I become the minister and I will shake things up, I'll do this, I'll do that. So you have asked a very relevant question, which the TVs also remind us every week. But like coming back to the point, like what I feel is the need is that to simplify, provide a simplified handbook to the schools, because most of the private schools are in a position to take care of this implementation through their own skills. But consider the large area of rural belt which India is. I don't think they even have a clue how to implement this change. So if the ministry can come up with a step-by-step guideline which will break down each and every subject, that this things needs to be done to achieve the objective of what we are trying to achieve as a nation. I think that is something, that kind of a document which has to be very simplified, because I find government documents to be very, very confusing and very complicated. Like after 85 sessions of talks, we still have such a lot to discuss and such a lot to understand regarding the NEP. So if the government can come up with a very clear demarcation of subject-wise, step-by-step guidelines to be issued to the public schools as well as private schools, I think that is something which I would like to take up to provide to schools, so
Right.
that a
Right.
clear direction is provided and there is uniformity in implementation.
Right.
Yeah.
Simplify the life of school leaders, and
Yes.
give them a simple and steps with clarity. What they need to
Exactly.
do to achieve those things. So thank you, Vinayak. And now, Arpita ma'am, over to you. Your concluding remark, and what would be your idea as Minister of Education?
In fact, thinking about it is an honor, basically. It's, of course, in fact, as an education minister, one day is actually too less to actually think also. The one day is too less to think about as to what is to be done. But yes, the first thing that Indian education system requires a total oiling. Basically now, because the public schools and the private schools, like there is a lot of demarcation between the two. So if hand holding and also partnership between the private school and the public school is something which is developed, will actually take the Indian education system to a new height. Because we can keep on having the documents, we can keep on having such discussions, but if the public schools are not hand-holded properly, if they do not have the infrastructural facilities, if they do not have the quality teachers and the quantity of the teachers which are required, so such documents will not work. It has to be a partnership module which is developed. Of course, the school complexes that we talk about. So we need to also ensure that that is taken in the right spirit, and we have everyone talking about education. It is not when the meeting is going on and only the cream schools, the high-ended schools are only talking about these all integrated projects. So it has to be at every level. Like I had given a small example of story. Storytelling is such an important tool. You don't require an infrastructure for that. You just require passionate teachers to deliver, a passionate teacher to know the concept and put it in the form of a story. So these things are so important. It is not necessary that huge documents are required, but a proper infrastructural change which is required, where in partnership, the private and the public school work hand in hand and bring the entire education system of India to a global height.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you. And we need a passionate education minister like you, Arpita ma'am. So thank you for that. And once again, a big thanks to all the key speakers, Arpita ma'am, Prateek Srivastava ji, Dr. Arpana Vibhuti, Vinayak Sharma ji, for joining and making this session truly special. So big thanks all of you. This is for the day. We end the session here. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone.
Thank you, everyone.